now that we're here in St Andrews, we're lucky to be in the internationally renowned university that's reached out throughout the world for the past 600 years. And I'm particularly proud of the university with its fantastic campaign that we are internationally Scottish here at St Andrews as well. And here in St Andrews, Scots of all backgrounds and throughout these islands have made their home here. And the diversity in St Andrews is something that I'm proud of and something that makes it a better place in which to live and work.
I am sick hearing
so it's particularly special that we mark the day here. But who better to deliver the message of kindness, but also a message that Scotland is open to the world, than our First Minister, the leader of the SNP, and frankly, the most capable leader of any political party in this general election campaign, Nicola Sturgeon.
Yes, quite capable of going behind the Scottish public's back and signing us up to things that we were never informed about. One of the first things that Thin Lips did, in fact, when she took over after Salmon stepped down, was to sign us up to the UN's global goals. And it's those global goals that have been the cornerstone for near enough every single policy, bill, amendment, etc. that the SNP have passed, or more importantly, Thin Lips has passed. Just how capable really is Nicola Sturgeon, because it seems to me that the UN are pulling her strings. In committing to the global goals, Helmet Head declared that they offered a vision of the world that she believes Scotland shares. That's a very fanatical belief to have when you never fucking asked us for our opinion on the matter. You know? Speaking at the Closing the Inequality Gap in Scotland and around the globe, in a keynote address, Helmet Head said that in pledging to implement the global goals, the Scottish Government had made a dual commitment to tackle poverty and inequality in Scotland, and to help developing countries to grow in a fair and sustainable manner. Both are vitally important, and both often throw up similar challenges. They're also interlinked. Scotland cannot act with credibility overseas if we are blind to inequality here at home, and our actions for a fairer Scotland are undermined without global action to tackle poverty, promote prosperity, and to tackle climate change. All that talk of a fair Scotland, it's all derived from this shit. Just how capable really is Nicola Sturgeon? I wonder. Helmet Head's commitment to the global goals is further ensuring working across Scottish Government directorates to achieve domestic implementation separate to the alignment of our international development work with global goals. Integrating the Global Goals in Scotland programme has been delivered over the last 6 months. Funded by the government, of course, enabling Scottish civic society to understand what the goals mean for them and how to implement them. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable and inclusive institutions. We take pride in a strong, fair and inclusive national identity. What does it mean to be Scottish? There's no such thing as a native Scot, according to Nicola Sturgeon. There's no such thing as Indigenous Scots, no such thing as Indigenous Germans, Native Polish, etc., according to the UN. Don't ring any bells yet. So capable.
And a range of other measures are practical benefits to people's lives that the SNP will seek to deliver through a progressive alliance. But they also speak to our values, and they demonstrate the kind of country that we are seeking to build.
Nicola Sturgeon spouting off her vision by proclaiming that she's speaking on our behalf. A pre-prepared script directly from the UN. Who knows?
It is a country where, first and foremost, the decisions about Scotland's future are taken by the people who care most about Scotland, and that's the people who live here, no
it's fucking not you.
matter where they come from. And that is the fundamental point of independence. It is the ability to take our own decisions to build a better country.
And how are you planning to do that in the confines of the European Union? Which countries within the European Union have to do exactly what the Commission said. There will be consequences, they will pay the price. But the difference between those countries and an independent Scotland with Nicola Sturgeon running the show is that Sturgeon would beamingly accept each and every single poll put forth from the Commission. You know, in 2014 she was talking about Scotland being part of the Schengen zone. She's fucking obsessed with migration.
Taken by everyone who lives here, wherever they come from.
Yes,
Scotland.
You continue to pander. And right beneath the surface of that namby-pamby pandering, and what do you see? You see yet more erosion to the idea of a native population in this country, because that's fundamentally what this is all about.
Urgently needs the powers to do many things, but one of those things is to implement a migration policy that is tailored to our needs. You know, all of the increase in Scotland's population over the next 25 years is predicted to come from migration. Let's keep attracting people to Scotland and keep providing opportunities for people born here in order to grow our economy.
Talk about projections that indicate all of our projected population growth is to come from immigration, which suggests that in the same time frame, these projections must have indicated that there will be nothing done to rectify the native birth problem that Scotland has. You know, that record low birth rate. That record low fucking birth rate that never gets mentioned by this thin-lipped fucker. Overhauling of the education system, promoting social justice related issues, feminism, LGB emphasis on the T, absolutely everything apart from traditionalism. Even going so far as to target the one demographic in this country that still has a relatively higher birth rate than that of the average. So on the one hand, we've got a native birth rate that's declining and is continuing to decline. And Sturgeon is passing policies behind the scenes to go after the one group of girls in this country that still have children. And the solution is migration. We need to open the borders because and their inept ability to do anything even remotely similar to what the people that stood in that party all those years ago before them would have done. Not a damn fucking thing. These opportunities available to young people to support their well-being and prosperity across the life course. Evidence shows that having a pregnancy at a young age can contribute to a cycle of poor health and poverty as a result of associated socio-economic circumstances before and after pregnancy. The strategy therefore addresses the fundamental causes of pregnancy in young people and its consequences, with actions focused on the wider environmental and social influences which affect inequalities of this particular group. This document is both a strategy and a practical action plan, working its way systematically through what we must do to improve outcomes for young people, underpinned by the UN, of course. So capable. People are at the centre of decisions about their needs and are supported to be safe and healthy, etc. Focus on the wider causes of pregnancy in young people and how these influences impact their future. Build on existing structures around sharing resources and effort to achieve young people's focus, support in the most efficient, effective way. Encourage and support young people to exercise their rights and achieve their potential in terms of parenthood choice. In other words, don't have children. Pregnancy in young people is often a cause and a consequence of social exclusion and should not be seen narrowly as a health challenge. Levels of pregnancy in young people helps to reduce the likelihood of poverty. They talk about young people. They're talking about 16, 17, all the way up to 24, roughly. And I am by no means suggesting that women should opt for a life of getting pregnant that early on in their life. But when we have a record low birth rate in this country, that they'd be doing more to encourage births in general in the country, not going after the one remaining group that still have children more than average. But it's okay because Nicola Sturgeon's just going to open the borders. Why are we relying on other people from the third world in Africa to come over here and have the children that our own women could potentially be having? Stands there, she gets the clap. But she stands there, she gets the clap. Stick around, Stan, she's such a marvellous, intelligent woman. So capable. Is she, aye? Pregnancy defined as all conceptions, i.e. live births and abortions, in young people have been decreasing in Scotland. And why have they been decreasing? Because of policies that have been continuously implemented year on year. And it's still high compared to other comparable Western countries and just unacceptable, isn't it? Scotland experienced decrease in the pregnancy rate in under 20, 18 and 16 age groups. However, the gap in inequality is increasing. Of course, it's always increasing. In inequality, which justifies them going into the nurseries, the primary schools, etc. to remove the harmful gender stereotypes that inevitably lead to toxic masculinity, outdated stereotypes and violence against women, etc. etc. All, of course, then leads to young pregnancies. Am I right? Have that. It's all about empowering girls and Sturgeon's feminist utopia. Mothers who exhibit child nurturing behaviours such as reading to their children, promoting a healthy lifestyle, and who provide a secure and stable environment have similar chances of raising children with positive outcomes as older mothers who do the same. Mothers aged 20 to 24 are relatively advantaged when compared to their younger counterparts. They are still at a significant disadvantage when compared with older parents. They're trying to target young mothers. They're now trying to insinuate that the later you leave it, the better you'll be. Training or re-engaging young people in education is therefore a fundamental intervention for reducing the risk of pregnancy. Young people who feel supported by their school family and who feel confident about their future careers are less likely to view early parenthood as a way of finding meaning and gaining respect from their peers. Equally, supporting young mothers and young fathers back into school or learning environments is important for preventing a rapid subsequent pregnancy and ensuring better futures. How many of these hypothetical mothers and fathers will we be talking about here if this publication is relatively successful in the future? School absence is linked to a number of adverse outcomes, including pregnancy, so it's generally recommended that intervening early to address problematic non-attendance produces the best outcomes for the young person concerned. Deterioration in the academic performance of young women aged between 11 and 14 is a strong predictor for those women to become pregnant while still a teenager and once pregnant to continue with the pregnancy. Now again, as I said, that in the wake of record low birth rates in this country, to reduce it even further, but instead be going to increase it, or at the very least pretend to increase it. But they don't even need to do that, do they? Because Sturgeon just stands at her podium. First, they couldn't help but bring up violence, which justifies, as I said, going after the primary school children and the nursery school children, to erode the gender-based violence, to erode the toxic masculinity before it flourishes, to stamp out the outdated views. People should be adequately prepared for parenthood, whether that is potentially imminent or something in the future. If that is a choice they make, learning about nurture and attachment can equip young men and women to understand the needs of their children and impact their interaction and communication has on the development of that child. Tips. Sexual health and parenthood experiences an outcome section of curriculum for excrement asks that all young people be taught about parenthood. Education on future parenthood is important for empowering young people to make choices about whether and when they wish to become a parent in the future. Seeing young people. Young people who have conceived should be provided with objective and non-judgmental information and support to be able to make an informed choice regarding how they proceed with their pregnancy. Well, you've just given it the big I am for the best part of 20 pages about putting it off for as long as possible so they can fulfil their potential. 15 to 19-year-olds in the European Union and further afield, although rates in both the UK and Europe have been decreasing, the UK still has higher numbers of births in the 15 to 19-year-old bracket. Please note that we can only compare births due to the variation in record data in the various countries. Wow. The rate of pregnancy in the under-20s age group is decreasing in Scotland, although it is still high compared to other countries, including comparable Western states. Scotland has seen a 34.7% decrease in pregnancy rates in under-20s. This shows that high rates can be influenced with effective working and evidence-informed approaches. There's no attention as to why there is an birth rate is declining. No mention, there's no suggestions to rectify the issue. Oh no, all of the focus continues to be on decreasing it even further.
Our world-class universities, such as this one here in St Andrews. If we're forced out of the EU with the end of freedom of movement, that job will become so much harder. But you know, this isn't just a matter of economics or public services, vital though these are. It is also about who we are as a country. People who have come to Scotland from elsewhere in the UK, from Europe and further afield, have enriched our society in so many different ways.
I just don't even know what to say at this point.
As their home, honour us every day that they are here.
Shh, what the
And we must do everything we can to ensure the message that Scotland is a welcoming country continues to be heard by all of our fellow EU citizens.
As well as further afield, am I right?
In an independent Tory policies that Scotland never voted for in the first place, and to protect that right to decide their own future. And the way to protect that right is to vote SNP. So in these final days of this election campaign, Scotland's future really will be on the line. For SNP members and supporters, there has never been a more important time to make your voices heard and to campaign. We need to take our message of hope, for that is what it is. We need to take that message of hope to every community across our land.
No incentive, there's no effort being made to incentivise native births. It's never talked about, it's never addressed. It's just open the floodgates to African men and Muslims.